Even John Wayne's most ardent admirers could not have predicted the mysteries concealed for decades behind the opulent gates of his estate. In addition to his commanding on-screen persona, the Duke led an enigmatic and fascinating existence. Following an investigation, the FBI made startling revelations that caused many people to reevaluate their preconceived notions about the Hollywood icon. What precisely did they discover? Were these disclosures related to his personal life, political beliefs, or something different? Join us as we reveal the shocking truth about John Wayne's mansion and the startling conclusions drawn by the FBI. Early life and struggles. John Wayne's early years showed tenacity. Before the family relocated to Glendale, California in pursuit of better prospects, Marion Robert Morrison, born in 1907, was raised in Wintrust, Iowa. Due to financial difficulties, he was compelled to work odd jobs like soda jerking and newspaper sales. His hopes of a future in sports were dashed after a body surfing injury, even though a football scholarship to USC appeared to be his ticket out. After being forced to change his direction, he accepted a position at Fox Studios as an extra and prop man, where he met director John Ford. Ford offered the big, tough young man his first opportunity because he recognized the potential in him. Wayne's early hardships influenced his work ethic and gave his fictional characters a genuine feel. His transformation from impoverished college dropout to Hollywood icon is a timeless tale of rags to riches that never fails to motivate. Breakthrough with Stagecoach. The 1939 Western, Stagecoach, which John Ford directed, marked a significant turning point in John Wayne's career. Wayne was previously confined to low-budget movies, sometimes called Poverty Row productions, but everything changed with Stagecoach. His performance as the Ringo Kid, a wanted criminal out for vengeance, was a masterwork of subtle charm. Wayne's portrayal gave the genre fresh vitality, while the film's inventive use of Monument Valley as a background transformed Western cinematography. Interestingly, Ford pushed hard to cast Wayne because studios didn't think he could be a starring man. The risk paid off, as Stagecoach received positive reviews and was nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. In addition to launching Wayne's career, this movie signaled the start of a storied collaboration with Ford that produced timeless works like The Searchers and The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Iconic role in True Grit. John Wayne gave a memorable performance as Rooster Cogburn in True Grit in 1969. He demonstrated his versatility as a feisty, whiskey-drinking marshal, which was a change from his typical stoic heroes. His famous quote, "Fill your hand, you son of a bitch," became a catchphrase for supporters and is frequently cited in popular culture. Wayne cheekily recognized that he'd won his first and only Academy Award for Best Actor for his performance, adding, "If I'd known that, I'd have put that patch on 35 years earlier." The film's success rekindled his career and demonstrated that he could still command the screen at 62. Interestingly, Wayne first hesitated to accept the part because he thought it would stereotype him as an elderly, grizzled man. However, his choice to accept Cogburn's humor and imperfections made it one of his most adored characters. Controversial political views. Like his on-screen personality, John Wayne had audacious political beliefs. He was accused of blacklisting leftist performers because, as a fervent conservative, he openly supported the House Un-American Activities Committee, or HUAC, during the McCarthy era. Many chastised Wayne for being out of touch, but he never hesitated to defend his opinions. His 1971 interview with Playboy magazine further stoked controversy when he made incendiary remarks about race and Native Americans, calling their claims to land selfish. Supporters encouraged him to use his celebrity for a political career, and he even contemplated running for president in the 1960s. Wayne's patriotism and love for America were evident, despite the divisive nature of his opinions. As a reminder that even celebrities have shortcomings, his legacy endures as a complicated fabric of controversial ideals and cinematic genius. Battle with cancer. One of the pivotal moments in John Wayne's life was his fight with lung cancer in 1964. After years of heavy smoking, he was diagnosed and had surgery to remove multiple ribs and his left lung. Wayne became one of the first celebrities to publicly talk about his experience with cancer, remarkably transforming his battle into a public purpose. He even spoke before Congress to support more money for cancer research and filmed a PSA advocating for early detection. Fans worldwide hailed his recovery as a triumph, and his tenacity reflected the strong, uncompromising roles he played on screen. Beyond his filmography, Wayne's openness about his disease had a long-lasting effect by destigmatizing cancer at a period when it was rarely spoken. His struggle against the illness is still evidence of his fortitude and tenacity. Marriages and relationships. Like his movies, John Wayne's personal life was dramatic. After she accused him of adultery, his first marriage to Josephine Alicia Sens ended in divorce. Even more turbulent was his second marriage to Esperanza Bauer, which included public disputes and a supposedly fatal shooting incident. The longest of his three marriages was to Peruvian actress Pilar Palet, although it was also tricky and full of allegations of extramarital affairs. Despite the chaos, Wayne was a loving father to his 7 kids. He frequently took them to movie shoots and taught them valuable life skills. In striking contrast to his stern on-screen demeanor, his relationships show a guy who, despite his imperfections, desired love and connection. Feud with Marlon Brando. A clash of Hollywood titans, the enmity between John Wayne and Marlon Brando, reflected the cultural gap of their day. Wayne, who represents traditional American ideals, called Brando's method of acting pretentious and mumbling. In response, Brando, a progressive activist, made fun of Wayne's conservative views and antiquated mannerisms. When Brando refused to accept his Oscar for The Godfather in 1973, in protest of Hollywood's treatment of Native Americans, their antagonism reached its zenith. Wayne, who had portrayed Native Americans as antagonists in several westerns, openly denounced Brando's gesture as being unpatriotic. In addition to being personal, this battle represented the conflict between the burgeoning counterculture of the 1960s and 1970s and Hollywood's established elite. Legacy in Western films. John Wayne defined westerns, not just starring in them. He embodied the genre's moral complexity and brutal individualism over 5 decades, becoming the face of the American frontier. Rio Bravo demonstrated his ability to balance action and friendship, while films such as The Searchers examined themes of racism and redemption. Wayne's characters were timeless and accessible because they frequently straddled the line between hero and anti-hero. His impact went beyond acting. He contributed to the development of the visual language of the Western genre, which included heated confrontations and expansive landscapes. His reputation as the best cowboy will continue since his motives are still studied for cultural and historical value. Friendship with John Ford. One of the most famous collaborations in Hollywood history is that between John Wayne and filmmaker John Ford. Wayne received early career mentoring from Ford, who encouraged him to give complex portrayals in movies like The Quiet Man and The Searchers. Although it wasn't without conflict, their partnership was based on respect for one another. Ford was known for his harsh love, frequently reprimanding Wayne on set to evoke unfiltered passion. Their friendship lasted for more than 40 years, despite their sporadic arguments. "I've made a lot of pictures, but I've only made a few films, and most of them were with Duke," Ford famously remarked. Their collaboration influenced Wayne's career and permanently altered the film industry. Military service and patriotism. John Wayne became an icon of American patriotism despite never having served in the military because of a family deferment during World War II. He starred in propaganda movies like Flying Tigers to raise spirits during the war. He later played military heroes in films like The Green Berets, which he also directed, and The Sands of Iwo Jima. Many soldiers and veterans admired Wayne as a kindred soul because of his unrelenting support of the troops. His position as a champion of American principles was cemented when he visited troops abroad and fought for veterans' rights, demonstrating that his patriotism went beyond mere performance. Influence on pop culture. There's no denying John Wayne's impact on popular culture. Everything from Toy Story to The Simpsons has paid tribute to and parodied his unique style, attitude, and memorable catchphrases. His confident, rolling gait became a hallmark that both performers and fans copied. Wayne's character went beyond film to become a representation of fortitude and tenacity. His legacy endures in video games like Red Dead Redemption, where he's portrayed as a rugged cowboy. His pictures appeared in political campaigns, advertisements, and even as a Halloween costume. Wayne was more than just a movie star. He had a cultural influence, as seen by his ongoing relevance. Controversial Oscar win. One of the most divisive moments in Hollywood history was when John Wayne won the Oscar for True Grit in 1970. Critics contended that the award was more of a lifetime accomplishment accolade than a reflection of his performance as Rooster Cogburn. At the same time, many fans hailed it as a long overdue acknowledgement for a career spanning more than 40 years. Some even conjectured that Wayne's conservative views and reputation as an American hero impacted the Academy's choice. The victory triggered debates concerning the nature of prizes and whether they ought to be based on cultural influence or artistic excellence. Despite the controversy, Wayne's Oscar is still seen as a turning point in his career, signifying his lasting impact on the motion picture business and his capacity to engage audiences of all ages. Relationship with Native Americans. Many have criticized John Wayne's depictions of Native Americans in movies like Stagecoach and The Searchers for promoting colonialism and reinforcing stereotypes. His later writings, however, demonstrated a more sophisticated perspective. For example, although criticized for depicting Native characters, The Searchers examined themes of racism and atonement. Wayne stated that his goal was to amuse rather than teach, acknowledging the situation's complexity. His relationship with Native American portrayal is indicative of more significant conflicts in Hollywood, where the history of minority group marginalization by the business is still being closely examined. This part of his legacy is still under discussion, underscoring the changing expectations for cultural awareness and narrative. Final film, The Shootist. The Shootist in 1976 was John Wayne's last motion picture, marking a moving and significant conclusion to his illustrious career. Wayne's portrayal of an elderly gunslinger who was dying of cancer was more realistic since it reflected his struggle with the illness. The film was acclaimed for its emotional depth, and Wayne's potent portrayal of a man facing his mortality, and it was a critical and financial triumph. The Shootist, which Don Siegel directed, blended themes of bravery, honor, and redemption to provide a fitting homage to Wayne's legacy. Interestingly, Wayne chose this part carefully, hoping his final performance would represent his principles and life. The movie is a heartfelt ode to one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Children and family life. Like his career, John Wayne had a vibrant family life. During his 3 marriages, he fathered 7 children, all going their ways. His daughter, Isa, wrote a memoir about her father, while his son, Patrick, became an actor, appearing in movies and television series. Wayne was a loving father who frequently took his kids to movie sets to teach them the importance of perseverance and hard work, despite his hectic business. He played a gruff guy on television, but his family life showed a softer, more vulnerable side. In addition to his films, Wayne's descendants commemorate his legacy in various ways. Feud with Kirk Douglas. The conflict between John Wayne and Kirk Douglas was between 2 titans of Hollywood, driven by their radically divergent political philosophies and acting techniques. Conservative fervently, Wayne called Douglas's liberal advocacy and method of acting pretentious. When Wayne's support for blacklisting collided with Douglas's resistance to it during the McCarthy era, their animosity peaked. Their struggle was a metaphor for Hollywood's ideological divisions and the more significant cultural changes of the middle of the 20th century. Despite their differences, both actors valued each other's skills, and Douglas eventually acknowledged Wayne's influence on their business. Their conflict, which shows how politics, art, and personality connect, is still an intriguing part of Hollywood history. FBI's shocking discovery. A secret vault with valuables that could change the course of Hollywood history was discovered during the FBI's recent inquiry into John Wayne's estate. Unpublished scripts, including an unfulfilled collaboration with Alfred Hitchcock, were among the rare relics. Personal letters from influential politicians like Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon were also found in the vault, suggesting Wayne's power behind the scenes. Evidence of his participation in clandestine activities during World War II, where he allegedly helped with propaganda efforts to raise morale, was the most intriguing. Fans are now speculating about a possible movie where historians re-evaluate Wayne's role in defining 20th century America. The finding has sparked discussions on the blurred boundaries between Hollywood and politics, with some referring to it as a real-life Indiana Jones moment. In addition to giving his legacy more complexity, this discovery begs the question of what other mysteries the golden age of Hollywood might still be concealing. Impact on American masculinity. John Wayne's depiction of rugged, independent heroes significantly impacted the American ideal of masculinity. Strong, honorable, and resilient figures like Brewster Cogburn in True Grit and Ethan Edwards in The Searchers influenced how generations of men saw themselves. But his reputation has come under fire for encouraging toxic masculinity. Detractors claim that his characters frequently exalted stoicism and violence at the expense of emotional sensitivity. Given the complexity of his persona and the changing perception of masculinity in contemporary society, Wayne's influence on gender norms is still up for debate. Because of his enduring influence, he represents the virtues and shortcomings of conventional male archetypes. Unmade projects and lost scripts. Fans and historians are excited about the FBI's discovery of unmade scripts in John Wayne's secret vault. Among those lost gems are an epic western that would have brought him and John Ford back together, and a political thriller about Cold War espionage. A partnership with Alfred Hitchcock was one exciting script shelved because of scheduling issues. These unfinished endeavors provide insight into Wayne's artistic goals and the tales he wished to convey, but was never able to. They also draw attention to Hollywood's unpredictability, where even the most prominent stars occasionally fail to realize their dreams. These revelations give Wayne's legacy a new dimension and stoke conjecture about what may have been. Influence on modern actors. John Wayne has had a significant and enduring impact on contemporary stars. Generations of actors were inspired by his portrayal of tough, morally complex characters, which established the benchmark for the American hero. Clint Eastwood, who acknowledges Wayne as a significant influence, used a similar stoic approach in his action in Western movies. Wayne's impact, especially his capacity to dominate the screen with subdued authority, has also been discussed by George Clooney. Wayne's combination of ferocity and tenderness has inspired performers such as Chris Hemsworth and Bradley Cooper. Beyond acting, budding artists can learn from Wayne's work ethic and commitment to his profession. Actors' approaches to their parts are still influenced by his legacy, demonstrating that his impact is not limited by time or genre. Controversial interviews. Interviews with John Wayne were frequently as audacious as his on-screen characters. His remarks against politics, race, and Native Americans in his 1971 Playboy interview in particular provoked outrage. Wayne received intense devotion and scathing criticism for his unvarnished views, which reflected his strong conservative views. For example, many people thought he was out of touch with his views on gender roles and his disdain for civil rights movements. However, these interviews also showed a man who was not afraid to stick to his principles, despite criticism from the general public. They offer an open examination of Wayne's complexity, demonstrating that he was more than just a Hollywood star. Instead, he was a divisive character who personified the social unrest of his era. Love for the American West. John Wayne's passion for the American West was a way of life rather than only a career focus. Among his many ranches was the 26 Bar Ranch in Arizona, where he spent much of his leisure time caring for livestock and riding horses. Beyond his movies, Wayne deeply loved the cowboy way of life. He was a skilled horseman and even participated in rodeos. His strong ties to the West shaped his choice of roles as he worked to capture the essence of the frontier. Wayne's passion for the country and its past solidified his reputation as a cultural icon, making him a representation of the American West both on and off the screen. Posthumous honors. Numerous celebrations have been held in honor of John Wayne's memory since his passing in 1979. One of the highest civilian awards in the U.S., the Congressional Gold Medal, was given to him posthumously in 1980. His family founded the John Wayne Cancer Foundation, which still supports patients and finances innovative research. Fans grow from around the world to attend the annual John Wayne Film Festival in his hometown of Winterset, Iowa. Wayne's famous presence has been immortalized by the erection of his statues in Texas and California. These accolades guarantee that his legacy endures for upcoming generations by acknowledging his achievements in film and his lasting influence on American culture. Rare personal artifacts. Both fans and historians have been enthralled by the FBI's discovery of rare personal relics in John Wayne's secret vault. His handcrafted weapons, boots, and cowboy hats were among the treasures, each with a unique backstory. For example, a hat was worn while True Grit was being filmed, and one of the revolvers was a present from a fellow performer. These artifacts link to Wayne's life and career and reveal more about the man who created the legend. These objects are sought after by museums and collectors as permanent reminders of his legacy. The revelation has rekindled curiosity about Wayne's life and reminded the globe why he's still considered a timeless figure in American film. Influence on filmmaking. Beyond just his acting, John Wayne has significantly impacted cinema. His partnerships with renowned filmmakers like Howard Hawks and John Ford helped create the modern Western genre. His portrayal of rugged, multifaceted heroes served as a model for future generations of performers and helped redefine heroism on television. Because of his dedication to authenticity, Wayne frequently performed his stunts and insisted on using actual locales rather than soundstages. Filmmakers like Clint Eastwood and Quentin Tarantino, who cite Wayne's works as direct inspiration of their own, were inspired by the harshness and reality he brought to the scene. Wayne's impact extended beyond westerns to include adventure epics, war movies, and even political pictures, all of which emphasize themes of resiliency and patriotism. His influence can still be seen in contemporary narrative as action movies continue to dominate by his model of the rugged but noble hero. Wayne's status as a genuine film pioneer is cemented decades later by his undeniable presence and contributions to the industry. Philanthropic efforts. John Wayne was a devoted philanthropist who backed several organizations outside his acting career. Following his fight with the disease, he used his position to promote money and awareness for cancer research. Additionally, he supported veterans organizations and donated to children's charities, such as the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Wayne's kindness was also evident in his neighborhood, as he discreetly assisted those in need without pursuing attention. His charitable endeavors demonstrated his commitment to giving back and making the most of his notoriety. Even though his film accomplishments frequently take center stage, Wayne's humanitarian endeavors remain an essential and motivational part of his legacy. Battle with alcoholism. John Wayne battled personal issues, such as drinking, despite his legendary demeanor. He frequently drank heavily on and off set and was well known for his love of whiskey. In Hollywood, he was known for his heavy drinking, with tales of long drinking sessions with co-stars Lee Marvin and Robert Mitchum. However, his health suffered as a result of this extravagant lifestyle, and he eventually acknowledged that he struggled with addiction. According to friends and family, he frequently turned to drinking as a way to escape the demands of celebrity and the expectations that come with being a national hero. Wayne tried to cut back later in life, particularly after receiving a cancer diagnosis, but he never publicly sought treatment. His difficulties provide his otherwise unwavering persona a deeper level of nuance, revealing a guy who, despite his imperfections, remained dedicated to his family and career. His struggle with alcoholism serves as a warning that internal struggles can arise for even the most resilient individuals. Cultural icon status. John Wayne was more than a movie star. He represented the American people's tenacity, patriotism, and grit. He personified the rugged individualism that typified 20th century America with his dominating presence and powerful voice. His impact went beyond Hollywood, influencing fashion, politics, and military morale. His combat pictures motivated soldiers throughout Vietnam, and Wayne traveled abroad to cheer up troops. His distinctive gait, boots, and cowboy hats were instantly identifiable trademarks, resulting in innumerable tributes and imitations. His references can be found in everything from contemporary rap lyrics to Looney Tunes cartoons, demonstrating his influence on popular culture. Public leaders and politicians have invoked Wayne to represent unwavering American principles. Even though his opinions and demeanor have generated controversy in recent years, his influence is still indisputable. Whether you like him or not, John Wayne will always be a part of American history. Unseen home videos. Private films made after John Wayne's death showed a distinct side of the Hollywood icon, even though he was always in the spotlight. In contrast to the rugged cowboy roles that characterized his career, Wayne was depicted in the hidden home films as a loving father who enjoyed spending time with his kids, playing with his dogs, and even trying to cook in his kitchen. Behind-the-scenes shots from movie sets were also shown in the video, where Wayne was seen joking with co-stars, practicing lines, and having open discussions with directors. A few movies showed his passion for sailing and included infrequent shots of him on his cherished yacht, the Wild Goose, where he found tranquility away from the limelight of Hollywood. These recordings provided a more complete portrait of the guy who created the myth, showing that underlying the bluster was a person who cherished friendship, family, and quiet time for introspection. They are a heartwarming reminder that even legends have personal, vulnerable moments. Enduring popularity. John Wayne is still regarded as one of Hollywood's most iconic figures decades after his death. Classics like Rio Bravo, The Searchers, and True Grit are still regarded as some of the best films ever made, and his movies are still praised today. His image is still frequently featured on goods such as coffee cups and posters, and his estate makes millions of dollars a year from licensing agreements. Actors continue mentioning him as a significant influence, and contemporary directors refer to his work. His timeless popularity is especially evident in film festivals and retrospectives, where viewers of all ages congregate to watch his performances on a large screen. Wayne's legacy endures despite the shifting trends of the digital age, demonstrating that charm, skill, and a strong moral code are timeless. John Wayne's legend is not fading. On the contrary, it's only becoming more potent over time, regardless of whether people admire him for his acting, morals, or cultural influence. If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon